Hello, hello, beautiful, and welcome to another Thursday Talk with me, Susanna Kay, professional organizer, paper specialist, and getting things done to-do person. So I'm so glad that you are here with me today. Welcome. As you hop on, let me know who you are and where you're joining me from. So today we are talking about how to restart your paper organizing progress. So if you fell off the wagon, that is okay. We all do it. How do you get started again, though, once you have taken a bit of a break? Well, that's what we are talking about today. So I will share some ways to absolutely rock your papers, get restarted, remotivated, and have that clear path for yourself again. So I asked you in the chat area, if you're here live with me, which Susanna Kay products do you currently own? Now, if you're watching the replay, that's okay too, or listening to the podcast, the Organizing Mindset podcast. Great. Let me know in the comments of either of those as well. Which Susanna Kay products do you already own? Things like the Spark Life Binder, Paper Path course, Pathfinders Plus Club, any of the webinars, things like that. I would love to know what you have right now. And I wanted to thank everybody who shared a financial contribution to support the Thursday Talks. If you love the Thursday Talks, please consider supporting me, and you can choose whatever amount works for you. But thank you so much to those who supported me. Right now, those gifts are anonymous, so if you want to, you can mention in the comments if you gave a gift, but I won't share without your permission. So thank you though. I really appreciate being able to continue these Thursday Talks for free every single week, and your support really helps with that. All right. In the comments really quickly, I wanted to see what you said. I will pop over and say hi towards the end again if you just said hi, but I wanted to see what products you have, Susanna Kay products. So Earl Ann says that she has the Spark Life Binder. Yay, that's that one right there. If you're looking at the video, you can see that I've got my Spark Life Binder in the background. Mary, this is true. Yes, she says all of them, and that is absolutely correct. Mary does have all of them. I love that, and you have been rocking it too. I'm so excited about that. Barbara, yes, Barbara's done great. She has the Spark Life Binder, the Paper Path course, and several of the webinars. Hopefully you feel like you're making great progress. It looks like you are from all that I get to see. I love that. Lori says she has the Paper Path course, the Pathfinders Plus Club, the Spark Life Binder, and various webinars. She says too many to mention. Lori has been rocking it. She's one of our fantastic Pathfinders, and I have loved seeing your progress over time. I love that. Alice says, sure need a restart. Oh, well, you are in the right place, Alice. I'm so excited to be helping you get back on track. We all fall off track, especially after the holidays, right? So you're in the right place. Lynn says that she has the Path membership, that Paper Path or the Pathfinders Plus Club. She's got the Spark Life Binder, the Organizing Photos webinar, and she is part of the Paper Path course. Yay! Love that. And Bonnie says she has the Spark Life Binder, and you are rocking it, girl. I love it. Lovely Marie says all of them but the webinars. Yes, you do. You've been doing great work. I love seeing you in our Pathfinders Plus Club too. CJ says restarting the Paper Path, the course, is exactly what I need. I'm a Pathfinder Plus Club member, and I own many helpful Susanna Kay products. The webinars, Spark Life Binder, Emergency Medical Folder, Paper Path course, etc. All great products. Aw, I love that. Yay. Yes, another one of our fabulous Pathfinders Plus Club members who I get to see often and who's making great progress, of course. Grandma C, Connie, is here. She says, I have the Spark Life Binder and the Paper Path, and I have the photo organizing and a couple of other webinars. Yes, you do. Woot, woot. I love it. Nancy says, is it possible I have all of them too, but not quite rocking it yet? You might have all of them. I'll have to look and see if there's anything you're missing, but I bet you, if you don't, you have almost all of them, but you are rocking it. in the Pathfinders Plus Club, I have seen so much of your progress as we've gone by. So you are rocking it, Nancy. Rhonda says, Spark Life Binder, Paper Path course, Thursday talks, and more. Yes, ma'am, you do. You're doing amazing. And she's a Pathfinders Plus Club member. Melody says, ditto to what Lori said. I don't have the small steps cards yet or all of the webinars. Can I buy time? I know, right? There's just not enough time in the world sometimes. But you are doing great by getting what you can handle at the time. So I love it. You are fantastic, Melody. Patricia says she has a Spark Life Binder. Yay! Woot, woot, woot. I love it. Jana has several items. She says, list isn't in my brain at the moment. It's a bit early. I get it. Oh, CJ says, I forgot to mention, I also have all the Thursday talks from 2024. Yes. Way to go. I love that. Well, you guys are rocking it. And I see several good mornings. Good morning to you all, including Joyce and Lady. I see you too as well. And let's see, we've got lots of good mornings. Plenty of waves from Lady. Melody says, still unusually cold for us in Fairfax, Virginia. Warming up to 20 degrees already, though. Oh, wow. That's cold. It's very cold. Lynn says she's coming to St. Pete Beach next week for a couple of weeks. She says, hope the cold weather leaves. Well, you are in for a great winter here because it is lovely. Even though it's cold, it's still really nice. Speaking of cold weather, lovely Marie says, chiming in from Alaska. That's some cold, right? I love it. Good morning. Good morning. Lori says that she might have to hop off and watch the replay of this in the Pathfinders Thursday Talks. No problem at all. Hi, Joe. Good to have you here as well. Welcome, everyone. All right. So, Lori says, I also gave small step cards and the emergency medical folder, caregiver information in 2023 Thursday Talks. She has all of those too. Yes. Oh, wonderful. Yes. I didn't know that you had the caregiver info. That's amazing. You're doing awesome. Love that. Well, today, if you have completed all of the products that you have from me, then wow, you are amazing. Most of the time, though, life gets in the way, and there are times where we kind of stall out or fail to launch sort of on a few things, right? We have great plans, but then it just doesn't happen. So if there's anything, whether it's a Susanna K product or anything else that you have stalled out on with your paper organizing, then today is for you. So today we are talking about restarting your paper organizing progress if you have paused or if you fell off the wagon. So what we are going to be talking about, we'll talk about some of the mindsets to help you get started again, as well as some of the steps to take. So we want to make sure that we have the steps to take so that we know exactly how to get started again, right? Oh, I just lost my place. There we go. So let's get started with number one. So the first step that I like to take whenever I fall off the wagon with pretty much anything, but especially with paper organizing, is creating a plan. Sometimes you just need to get your brain kicked back into gear, right? And figure out where to even start. So creating a plan can help you just clarify exactly what the process is again, where you left off, what the next steps are. Now, I don't want you to feel like you have to know every step of the plan from start to finish before you even get started, because we can fall into that trap, right? And I will share a way to make that a little bit easier for my planners out there. But at least get the first chunk of a plan down so that you know exactly what steps are coming up, because then you can confidently take some of those steps, right? If you don't know where you're going, then it's really hard to get back on that wagon, because we get lost when we don't have a plan, and that's when we wander off. And a lot of times when you fell off the wagon, sometimes it's because life happened, but sometimes it's because your plan was no longer clear and you just needed to clarify what your next steps were, or see where you've been already, also see that you completed some things. So when we're creating a plan, there are a number of different ways to create your plan. One way is to have a path already laid out for you. So like several of you've mentioned, you have the Spark Life binder, or maybe you have the Caregiver binder, right? With these binders, that's one easy way to have a clear plan that you don't have to refigure each time. Because with the binder, all you're doing is answering the questions. So it's very easy to take a break and then come back to that binder. And if it's still blank, that means you've not gotten to it yet, right? So having your entire structure laid out ahead of time can make it very easy to hop in and out as life happens, as you need a break. Breaks are important, so don't be afraid to take a break. Just remember to come back, right? So having the Spark Life binder, Caregiver binder, any of those Spark binders are a great way because everything is already laid out. You already have the worksheets that you're just answering the questions for to keep all of your important information organized. You already have all the dividers, all the sections. It's done. All it needs is the information to be added to it, right? So that's one way. Create the entire structure first. And then there's another way that you can do a plan, which would be to figure out what all of the steps are, right? From at least from start to the end of your first goal. So a good example of this as far as the Susanna K products go is the Paper Path course. So the Paper Path course is the how-to for organizing all of your papers. It teaches you step by step in tiny little steps, all laid out in order, how to set up your entire Paper Path system, including the Spark Life binder, action file, emergency medical folder, Caregiver binder if you need it. Everything is laid out for you. However, with the Paper Path course, some parts are already created, like the Spark binders, to help you enter information there, but not everything is completed for you, like your file cabinet. You know, as much as I would love to be there, I can't go over there and put all the folders in your file cabinet for you and label all of them, right? So having the steps laid out is really helpful. You can do this yourself by simply listing, okay, this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and that's the general way that we do it. Or you can find help, such as the Paper Path course or something that has already laid those steps out for you. Of course, that's easier if somebody's already laid out the steps for you and just tells you what to do and how to do it. But either way, it's simple. Now, I did tell you, though, that when you are doing a large project and figuring out your plan, you don't need to know all the way to the last step, right? It's okay to not exactly know how it's going to end because you aren't there yet, right? Just know at least the beginning. Well, the Paper Path course does this for you automatically. It gives you sort of break times, places where it's an easy place to jump out, take a break, and jump back in, right? You can do it anywhere since the steps are laid out, but there are some clear ways because with the Paper Path course, it's actually split into smaller, we call them milestones. So if you hear me talk about milestones, those are smaller goals within a larger goal. So if your goal is to set up an entire Paper Path system, which is every part of your paper that your paper goes from the time it enters your home until the time it leaves your home, that easy flowing between different parts and self-purging a lot of it too. That's your system. So the Paper Path course takes setting all of that up, breaks it down into small steps, a path that you follow of small steps to get it all set up. And within that course, that would be a lot of steps if I were just to list them all out, right? And that would be overwhelming and really hard to tell what progress you made. It would really be hard for me to even start just looking at all that. So all of those steps, I've broken them down into milestones. And milestones, like I mentioned, it's a smaller goal. So the main goal is to create your Paper Path system. So a smaller goal would be, for example, one of our first steps, our first milestones, then the Paper Path course is to set up your incoming paper system, which is your action file. A lot of you probably already have your action file set up. So you actually have already finished the first 1.5 milestones within the Paper Path course, which is nice. But setting up your incoming paper system, that's one milestone. So you don't even need, I still tell you what all the other steps are, but you don't need to worry about them yet. you only need to worry about getting to that one smaller goal. So your brain can relax about what is going to happen in the next steps. So whenever you're planning a larger project, give yourself some milestones. Give yourself some breaks that you can take in between, and little mini goals where you can track your progress and celebrate and see how you're doing. So the Paper Path course has, incoming papers milestone. It has your files. I call them the fancy files milestone, where we talk about the short-term and long-term files. And I tell you for your personality type exactly how to label your folders, what order to put them in. I give you a little cheat sheet for that. And then we talk about the important papers. I think I'm possibly getting these out of order. It might be flip-flopped. Can't remember right now. But we talk about the important papers, which is either setting up your own life binder. I tell you how to set up your own life binder, or you can grab the Spark Life Binder, and it's kind of the quick way through that milestone. So that way you have all of your important papers in one place and all the important information. We talk about any specialty papers. So how to manage things like your taxes, your memorabilia papers, caregiving papers. And we talk about self-purging files, because self-purging files means that your file cabinet never gets to the point where it's packed and overflowing, because there's a point where you automatically are purging those papers. You've already made that decision. Within the Paper Path course, some of the milestones are simply kind of an overview or a mindset. So one of the last milestones is talking about how to make sure that you have the good habits, make them super easy to get those habits going, so that you can make sure that your paper system's always running smoothly and effectively. Another mindset that we have is making decisions only once. I give you my favorite tool, my paper policy, and show you how you can make paper decisions just one time, right? So some of those steps can be times where you take a breath, figure out a new way of thinking, or set up a new habit. That can be part of the steps for a project, right? For your plan, because we're talking about creating a plan to get back on track. Part of that plan can be, okay, and here maybe you need to research in this step before you can go on, things like that. And then things in the Paper Path course, for example, sometimes you might have a step or a milestone that will last a bit longer. So sometimes within our plan, we can have a milestone where we can check certain things off. And before it's complete, once we've got that system up and running for whatever the task is, in the Paper Path course, it's sorting through all of your old papers. So whether you have, some overfilled files and a few piles, or an entire storage unit full of random papers that have to be sorted, doesn't matter. Our quick sort section, we talk about how to set up the onion method in order to sort through all of those papers with the minimum amount of stress, have those decisions made so you're not making decisions on papers over and over again, make it consistent. Sometimes though, one of those steps, such as quick sort, if you have a whole lot of papers, you might not be able to finish quickly. But there are times where even if you're not finished, you can still move ahead. You can still move forward. So within your plan, you might have specific milestones you need to hit, or specific requirements you need to hit within that milestone before you move forward. But does not mean that that job has to be finished. It just means you're really confident, the system's running, you can keep doing what you need to do in addition to sorting the background. So whatever type of plan you create, whether it's something like the Spark Life Binder or the Caregiver Binder, where the structure is laid out for you, you had somebody, a product or somebody else put that entire structure together and you're just filling it in. Or if it's something like the Paper Path course, where it's a mix. Some things are already created for you and you're just filling them in. Other things are steps you need to take, and they're guided steps. Whichever method you're using, just make sure that you do have that plan and you have at least that first milestone of that plan. Because any plan, any large plan, can be broken down into milestones. And when we focus on that milestone, it makes it so much easier for not only this, but also for the next thing that we're going to talk about. So next is track your plan progress as you go. So as we're going through whatever our project is, in this case, we're organizing our papers, we want to track our progress. This not only helps keep us motivated and helps us see how much progress we're making, but if we do need to pause, hop out, not work on it for a little while, and then hop back, if you've been tracking your progress, it's so much easier to know exactly where you left off as well, isn't it? And that's when milestones come in, right? Having those milestones means that you know once a milestone is completed, there's nothing you need to do in that section of that project. So, for example, the paper path course, once your incoming papers milestone is done, then you know when you hop back in, if that's done and maybe your fancy file is done, you don't even have to look back at those. You know that those are completely done because you had milestones and you've been tracking what you've done. If you're doing something like the Spark Life Binder, any of the Spark binders, then it's easy to track what you've done. Once you finish a section, it's done, right? Each divider is its own milestone. And also use checklists as you go. So when you're tracking your progress inside of a milestone or for the project as a whole, which milestones you've completed, checklists are the key. They're the best thing. If you're like me and a checklist addict, I love lists. I love checklists. But these help you see exactly what you've completed and what is next. So when your plan is already laid out for you, then you can see exactly where you are within that plan. So something like the Spark Life Binder or any of the Spark binders or the Paper Path course, they all come with their checklists. So you can see exactly where you're at within the project as a whole, within this section, and you can know what's coming up and what your next step is. So use checklists, whether it's from a product that you download and you can print it and keep track of it, or if you're making your own checklist for your own projects, it doesn't matter. Just use the checklists because that's going to help you hop out and then hop back in easily. So before I go on to the next bit, let me know if you're liking this to start with. Click the heart or the like button, comment to let me know, share this video. If there's anybody that you know who could use some encouragement, who could use some paper organizing or productivity help, and that definitely helps me to be able to continue doing this, and hopefully it helps whoever you share with as well. So let me know if you are enjoying it. I'm going to go to the chat really quickly before we go on to the third and final bullet point for today. But we talked so far about creating a plan and the different types of plans and some of the different bits that can go into a plan. We talked about tracking your plan progress as you go, so using checklists and milestones. So let's look at the comments and then we'll go to that third one. Really quickly, where did I leave off? There we go. So got a lot of comments. I love it. Lovely Maureen with their cold, cold Alaska. Lady says, I have the emergency medical folder and I'm a Susanna supporter and a Pathfinder. Yes, thank you so much. Lady is a Pathfinders Plus Club member and she has her emergency medical folder, but she is also a Thursday Talks show supporter, and that makes such a huge difference. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, beautiful. I love that you're helping me to continue this for everybody. I love it. Denise says, need a restart. Paper Path course she owns, Spark Life Binder, Paper Path Club or Pathfinders Plus Club member, and mini webinars. Love them. Aw, yay. And I'm glad that you took a break for yourself, and let's get you restarted. Yay. CJ says, I love that. My original plan wasn't bad. It just became unclear. Gently come back to my goal. I can live with that, right? Yeah, so many times we fall off the wagon simply because we lost our map. So yeah, once we can clarify at least that next milestone. I'm glad that one resonated with you. I'd love to hear what resonates with you. All the weather updates from Lynn too. I love it. Mary says, I update my Spark Life Binder every January. And I've had to do a lot of updating and adding to my emergency medical folder. Yes, I am glad that it's helping you out. I know that you've had a whole lot going on with health stuff. So having that emergency medical folder hopefully has been helping you out a lot while you're going through all of that. I know it helped me when I went through it. That's parts of the times that I created and added to it. And the Spark Life Binder, yeah, hopefully that gives you some peace. But I love that you have such a good habit of when to update it, and that's on your calendar and on your radar. That's huge. Barbara also says annual update in January. Good idea, Mary, right? January is a good time because we're already thinking about that stuff. Lovely Marie is ready for spring, and she and Lynn are freezing their tushies off. Lady gave some love. Brana says, thank you. Such a good reminder and refresher. You're welcome. And Suzanne says, helpful. Melody says, wonderful info and restart and reminders. Yes, good. Yay. Lovely Mary says, I need a restart, but not sure where to start, even with a checklist. So much on my brain, which includes no energy to do the Spark Life Binders. And you know what? That is okay. Sometimes our restart needs to be small, and it helps to be really focused and not think about the whole thing. Really, if you're trying to decide where to start, a lot of times it does not matter. If you just pick something, anything, whether it's high priority or not, and get started, that forward momentum will start to get the ball rolling. It's like a snowman. You know, you start rolling that snowball and it gets bigger and bigger, and it'll do the same thing for you if you just start on anything. So if you have a webinar that you can watch, or if you have one page of your Spark Life Binder and you'll just do the one page, does not matter what it is, just pick something. And that leads me right into the third bullet point, which is take the next step with your blinders on. So if you've seen the racehorse, I always like to share my picture of the racehorse because this is such a good example of what I mean by put your blinders on, right? So if you can't see the screen, or if you can't see it well, then the picture on the screen is of a racehorse who has those blinders on beside the horse's eyes, just like they do in like the Kentucky Derby and places like that, those little leather pieces next to the eyes. Now, the reason they do this for the horses is so they don't get distracted and they can focus just on what's ahead of them. So if there's a horse coming up to their side, or if there's something going on in their peripheral vision, they can't see it and they won't be distracted by it. They are only looking ahead. And putting your blinders on when we're talking about our progress and taking steps on our projects and getting restarted, that simply means don't look at anything else. Don't think about anything else except for your next step. Nothing else matters, right? And I use the blinders for several different situations. And for this situation, when I'm talking about your blinders, don't think about the past. So don't beat yourself up about falling off the wagon. Don't worry about how you got into that paper situation to begin with. And don't worry about guilt, shame, regret, shoulda, none of that. Put your blinders on and leave the past in the past. And now just focus on what's right ahead of you, the immediate future. I don't want you to look too far in the future either, because too far in the future, you're looking at the end of the project. And that usually seems so far away and overwhelming when you're towards the beginning of it, right? So we don't even want to focus on the end of the project. We want to focus on the milestone that we're currently working on, right? We want to focus on just the next step or two of that milestone. And our goal is not to finish the project. Our goal is to finish that one milestone, that smaller part of the goal where we're tracking our progress. This is our, yep, I made a huge step, finish that step, mini goal. I get to celebrate myself. If I need a break, this is a great time to take a break and come back in. But those milestones make it so much easier to put your blinders on. Does not matter what project you get back on board with. So just pick any project, whatever you feel like you can do. Set the timer for 15 minutes. You can force yourself to do anything for 15 minutes, right? Put those blinders on and focus only on the next step or two. So don't look past the current milestone, especially. So When the racehorses do this, this helps them to finish the race faster. Because can you imagine the Kentucky Derby? If you're a jockey, you're trying to win this huge amount of money and all of this fame, and this is the most important race for you probably. And all of a sudden your horse gets distracted by what someone else is doing, right? That's us on Facebook. That's us going, oh, well, they seem to have it all together. Why can't I? Distraction slowed you down, right? We don't want the horse to notice what another horse is doing. We don't want the horse to get distracted by something else going on. If somebody out in the stands, thankfully they don't seem to do this at the Kentucky Derby, but if they let off like one of those firework poppers, and they had confetti going everywhere and it was a lot going on, then that horse, instead of going straight and going fast, that horse is going to get distracted and possibly, run into another horse, fall down, cause an injury. So fall off the wagon, definitely slow down, not make as much progress, right? Possibly even go the wrong way. That's us when we get distracted by another task, right? We're going along and we don't have our blinders on, and then we notice, oh, well, what if I need to do like those expenses? So I'll just hop in there and do that really quickly. Now you're not running the race anymore. You're completely off track. So you're not making forward motion. Those blinders also help to kind of keep you focused on moving. So when the blinders are on, the horse is less likely to just slow down and stop. The horse is more likely to keep moving forward because it's got a focus, right? When we don't have a focus, we lose our momentum. And your focus does not need to be huge. Now you notice that the horse, they don't give it a focus of, hey, get to the finish line. I mean, the finish line, like it loops around, it's really far ahead. That would be very unmotivating for the horse. The horse's main focus is to just keep moving forward as fast as it can. So it's only worrying about its next step or two. It's not looking at the end. Like Lady just said, one of my favorites, which I actually have right here on my desk as well, focus on the task, not the result, right? I love that you quoted me too. I love that. Focus on the task, not the result. So instead of looking for that finish line, look at, okay, well, what's the next task? Because you can do tasks. And the more tasks you do, you get closer to that finish line, the end of the milestone, the end of the project. So focus on the task, not the result is absolutely one of my favorite sayings. So that's another reason, though, that we use the blinders. So we could be task focused, not finish line focused, right? So Lynn says, sometimes I just start with the pile or place that bugs me the most. Yes, right? Whatever's bothering you the most that's in your vision, do it, right? And that's a great way to get restarted. So when Lovely Marie says, I need to restart, but not sure where to start, even with a checklist, listen to Lynn. She's got it down. She says, sometimes just start with a pile or place that bugs her the most, and that is a great way to do it. Oh, yeah, you're like me. Lovely Marie says, I feel like I'm not doing it fast enough because of whatever reason. So I end up quitting from the start. I would love to see progress on the project when done working on it for the day, or done working on it for the day. Yes, so that is like me, very much. I feel like, and she says it drains her every time, right? I am the same way. I always feel like there's some urgent deadline and I need to be going faster and I should be getting done anytime now. Like, why am I not done yet? So when you put on those blinders, it's okay to run the race. But along with those blinders, one other thing that the horse is not looking at, and we should not look at either, is the time clock. The horse has zero idea of how it's doing compared to other horses, how long it's been running, what the time clock is, how far it is from the finish line or from the start line. Those things don't matter to the horse. The only thing that matters to the horse with blinders on, and therefore should also be our focus, is just the next step, the next step. And if you only focus on that next step and stop focusing on the future, don't focus on the end, stop focusing on the starting line, you're not there anymore. So it doesn't matter how far back that is. just focusing on that next task, then you will feel like you're moving faster because you'll truly feel the movement you're actually making. If we're so busy looking at the finish line, it feels like we're not moving very quickly. But if we're looking at task by task by task, you know how we laid out our plan, all of those plan steps, then we can see our movement much better because we can see, yeah, we're not at the goal yet. And that's normal. Like, humans don't reach their goals as soon as they start, even though people like you and I really feel like we should already be done, right? But we can see, I did this task and this task and this task today. Or sometimes it's just a big task. I chipped away at this task. If it's too big of a task, break it into smaller tasks still, right? How small can you make those tasks so you can see your progress? And when you're doing that and you're focusing on the tasks, then you can see that forward motion even when you have not reached the milestone finish line, much less the project finish line. So that will give you that sense of progress. If we don't have our plan, then we don't have anything there to judge it by. Now, you don't have to have it all specifically written out unless you are very much a planner and like to write it all out. But you should have a good idea of, okay, well, these are the major steps. And then when you go to work on it, write down your to-do list, which is your done list. Write down what you did. You know, I entered all the expenses. I made a PDF of all of the bank statements. Write down what you did. So that way you can see your progress as well. And that way you will feel that forward motion. It's very hard to feel the forward progress a lot of times with papers. So we need to document it for ourselves. But put those blinders on and just focus on the tasks. And I promise that will be so much more motivating and it will not be as draining. You will feel a lot more accomplished and see your progress better. Plus, when we use those milestones, those are great places to celebrate. Stop and celebrate yourself for hitting that milestone. So within the Paper Path course, at the end of each milestone, we have a little celebration. We'll give you a little virtual badge, like you were in Girl Scouts if you were a Girl Scout. You get a little virtual badge, and we celebrate the fact that you finished the milestone. So you get that burst of dopamine and the chance to celebrate and the feeling of accomplishment and of finishing something with those milestones. And that's important to do, whether you're doing the Paper Path course and we're creating that for you, or you're creating your own plan. So really, really good comment on that, because it is very easy to fall into the, it's going slow, it should be faster, I'm just not making progress trap. Let's see if there's anything that I missed. Okay, so when we are talking about taking the next step with blinders on, just kind of a recap and a couple of other things to note. Use milestones, the smaller goals, and focus on just the current milestone and focus on the task, not the result, right? Focus on the task, not the result each time. And then dedicate 15 minutes a day to taking the next step, because pretty much everybody, very, very few people can't find 15 minutes in their day to take one step. And if you're working on something like the Spark Life Binder, then 15 minutes, you can easily fill in several blanks. Pick any blanks. You don't have to go in order throughout the binder. Fill in several blanks until that timer goes off, and keep on doing that each day, and it'll be done before you know it. If you're working on the Paper Path course, I try to make each step within the milestones 15 minutes or less. There are very few of them that are longer than 15 minutes. So you can easily, in 15 minutes, open up the Paper Path course, take the next step. And if you do that every day or almost every day, then you are going to be done before you know it, rather than waiting for a large chunk of time to be available, which it's really hard for us to find these days, right? Also, get some help. Get some people to work beside you. Get somebody who can answer your questions if you feel stuck. Have a community who's on the same journey and has the same type of goals and who gets it. Having that can keep you motivated so much better than just about anything else. So if you're part of the Pathfinders Plus Club, that's what we're all about. And I know lovely Marie, you are definitely part of the Pathfinders Plus Club. You're one of our beautiful Pathfinders. So use those group hikes. Make sure to hop onto those group hikes as often as you can and take at least one step on one of your projects. So use one of the sprints during the group hike, the work sprints, to work for 20 minutes on one project, one paper project. Does not matter which one. But when you join a group hike, if you're the Pathfinders Plus Club member, then you have those group hikes. When you join the group hike, that's going to keep you focused and motivated for pretty much 2 hours if you're there for the whole time without feeling like it. You can use the replays if you can't join us live. They work almost as well as the live, I promise. You can also use the office hours sessions to get your questions answered if you ever feel stuck, or to get that little boost of motivation and help you just mentally get back up and running. Pathfinders Plus Thursday Talks. Those are a great way to just feel connected to people who are going through the same things. So find your community. A lot of times when we are feeling unmotivated, we've isolated. We aren't seeing people as much. We aren't connecting with people as much. So connecting with people, especially others that can get what you're going through, that is so essential. So if you feel like you're just not motivated, find a group, whether it's Pathfinders Plus Club or a different group. If you're not a Pathfinder already, then consider joining the Pathfinders Plus Club to get this. But connect with other people, and that will boost your motivation, I promise. And then it's okay to pause. Even though we're talking about getting back on the wagon and restarting, sometimes you need to pause. Just make sure that you restart when you're done with that pause. So pause, don't stop, right? You can use those checklists so you don't lose track of where you're at, or just write on a Post-it. You know, if you've got physical papers or something physical that's part of that project, write on a Post-it what the next step is and stick it right on that project. So next time when you come back to it, you don't have to try to remember. And then if you're still blocked, ask for help. You know, that's what the Pathfinders Plus Club is for, right? That's why with the Pathfinders Plus Club, you know, the Paper Path course, you don't get the one-on-one with me as much, and the live community, it's more of the how-to. So it's great for you to go through on your own. But if you ever get stuck, if you feel like you're not making progress, then if you're not a Pathfinder, join the Pathfinders. Go to the store, SusannaK.com, and join us. Try it out for a month. See if you like it. Cancel if you don't. Most people stay. But if you are a Pathfinder, then use the Pathfinders Plus Club benefits. If you don't want to become a Pathfinder, that's okay. Try to find similar benefits somewhere for yourself. So Pathfinders, check out the Facebook campfire group. Ask for help out there. Connect with people there if you need to. Check out the office hours. That's our live Q&A time. So you can hop on during office hours and ask me any question that you have and get a live answer. You can email me, hello@SusannaK.com. So if you're a Pathfinder and you email me for some help, then I can give you some help there. If you're not a Pathfinder, then I can give you some minimal help, but I can give you a little bit of a boost or give you a direction to head. But reach out, use those group hikes, whatever it is. Use the upcoming app will have some ways to connect with people as well for the Pathfinders Plus Club. So definitely, if you're still blocked, ask for some help. All right. All right, before we wrap up and I do the recap, let me know really quickly in the chat area, what small step will you take in your papers this week? So what is your next task when you have your blinders on? What's the next task, not result, that you are going to work on this week towards your paper organizing? Because if you just work on it a little bit each week, you will get there before you know it. Lady says to lovely Marie, she says, if it wasn't for our Zoom meetings, I'm not sure I would accomplish anything other than my daily housework, right? Yes, I myself use some of those group hike replays and stuff in order to get me motivated when I'm working too. I love it. Having that connection is huge. So thank you, lady, for sharing that. All right, so tell me what small steps you will take in your papers this week, and let's do a quick recap before we wrap up. So if you are restarting, if you've fallen off the wagon, or if you took a pause and you're ready to restart, whatever it is. And these are some ways to get yourself motivated again and back on track. First off, create a plan. Sometimes the reason we fell off the wagon was because we did not have a clear plan anymore. We lost some clarity. So make sure that your steps for at least the next small goal within the project are laid out so you know where you're going, right? Track your plan progress as you go. So use checklists. If you have checklists, use those small milestones, which are those mini goals within the plan that you can create, but track your progress. This helps you to feel more motivated because you can see the forward movement. And if you have to pause, it's easier to hop back in if you have been tracking what you have completed so far. Take the next step with blinders on. And remember, this is that horse, right? With the blinders. Take the next step with your blinders on. So don't look at what's behind you, what's already happened. We don't care about where the start line is. We don't care about what's going on around us. We're not going to get distracted by other projects. We're going to have our blinders on, and we're not even going to look too far forward. We're not going to notice the finish line. We can maybe see the end of this milestone, that finish line for the milestone, but we're really focused on the next steps ahead of us. We're focusing on the next task, not the project, not the result. So take the next step with the blinders on. If you're not sure what the next step is, then go back to your creative plan, but also sometimes just start with anything. If you have the plan, pick something. It does not have to be the highest priority. Any motion is better than no motion. And then if you are still blocked, ask for help. Reach out, connect with other people. Do not isolate, because isolating and being disconnected from people is one of the best ways to get unmotivated and to have problems with that. So ask for help wherever that help might be. All right, well, now you know how to get restarted again. Coming up, my Pathfinders, all of my Pathfinders Plus Club members. Remember, at noon today, so in about 10 minutes, we will do our weekly check-in and topic discussion. So if you are feeling like you're ready to get restarted, or you need more motivation or just a little bit of connection, then this is the perfect time for you, Pathfinder. If you're not a Pathfinder yet, feel free to stop by the store, SusannaK.com, and become a Pathfinder. Try it out for a month. See if you like it. You can cancel anytime very easily, but you will at least get to see if it is a good tool to help you out. We have very, very few people who end up canceling. So, and let's go back to the chat really quickly. I'd asked you what your next step was. And Lynn, she says, cleaning off the kitchen countertop. Yes, so many papers accumulate on the kitchen counter or the dining room table, right? Those are some of the two hot spots. So that's awesome. I love that. So CJ's next task is to update recent changes in her emergency medical folder. Yes, love it. Lovely Marie says, trying to finish the fireproof box with emergency papers, etc. So order supplies for filing and then try to design a checklist that's reusable for the next time. I love that. So your next task is to order those supplies, right? Good one. Lady says, sorting and filing papers of one of my organizations. Yes, that'll feel so good, won't it? Melody says, I will straighten up the paper path binder I've made with notes and plan to restart my short-term files. Yes, woot woot. Yes, if you need anything, I am here. You've got office hours, group hikes, Thursday talks. You can ask anytime, anything you need. And CJ says, we'll miss you in the Pathfinders Plus Club today. I have an appointment in Napa. Great session. Thank you for everything. Oh, you're so welcome, CJ. I love having you around, and we'll miss you, but I'll see you during the group hike, hopefully on Saturday. Melody says, I'm filing this year's monthly papers appropriate for short-term files. Yes. Beautiful next step. Focusing on the task, right? Not the result. Great job. Well, all right. I love you so much. I look forward to seeing you next week for the next Thursday talk. And if you're a Pathfinder, then I will see you in about 7 minutes over in the Pathfinders Thursday talk. I love you so much. You are doing amazing. You can do this. If nothing else, just pick any task on your list and do whatever, because any motion is better than no motion. right? And you will be surprised. If you keep that up over time, it won't take long, but you will get very motivated again. I promise. I love you. You've got this. You're rocking it. Now go. Have fun. Bye, beautiful. See you next time.